Hi, if you joined us, guys. Just waiting for our guest. There he is. Hi, Chris.
Yeah,
How you doing?
yeah, good. Early morning here, so I'm ready for the day.
Right. Great. Okay, so welcome everybody. It has been a little while. We've had something of a hiatus from the old TDLive, but yes, we're back. And yeah, I'm Rich Portman. If you've not been with us before, I'm part of TD online community team, and our theme for our TDLive today is short courses. So yeah, what we can learn and how we can develop through short courses. So my guest for today is Chris Storrs-Fox. So Chris, could you introduce yourself for us, please?
Yeah, so like Rich says, I'm Chris. I've been working in TEFL for about 5 years, just over 5 years, as a teacher, a teacher trainer, and in academic management as well. And yeah, most recently, I'm doing something new on a short course, which is why I was interested to get involved with this TDC chat.
Okay, cheers, Chris. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about your current gig, please.
Yeah, so it's based in the UK. Like normally I work in Vietnam, but I've come over just for the summer for a 10-week short course training up students from around the world, but predominantly China, to study in the UK on master's programs. It's called officially it's a pre-sessional course at the University of Sheffield. So
Okay.
what it involves is okay. So what's involved is preparing them for the rigors of academia in the UK. So things like how to paraphrase correctly, how to reference, where to find good sources, but then also kind of language skills, which is kind of more in my wheelhouse. A lot of the other stuff is new in terms of teaching to me.
Okay. So I guess the sort of broadly speaking, the EAP stuff is a little bit newer to you, whereas but there's also a more kind of general communicative element that's a bit more what you're used to, right?
Yeah, and it's been nice in a way that there are a lot of similarities between the two. I think a lot of people are worried about doing something like EAP because it's it is different when you look at it on paper. You're like, wow, okay, how do I teach them how to paraphrase? How do I teach them to use quotations effectively? That kind of thing. But it is still a kind of communicative classroom and very student centered in the way that you approach things. So a lot of those skills that I developed in my career so far have kind of carried over into this.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I totally agree with you on the EAP thing. I think as someone who spent most of his time with young learners, I'd be really, really intimidated taking an EAP role on for sure. Okay, so you're used to a more sort of a long-term stable position as most of us are, and obviously this is 10 weeks, is that right?
10 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
So yeah.
so far, what are just the main differences in that it being only 10 weeks versus, a permanent contract or a 1 year contract?
Um, well, obviously, it feels a lot more kind of crammed in, I think. And given that it is a course for to get them ready to study at university in September, there's that kind of added pressure of a deadline that maybe you wouldn't get with the normal course. From my point of
Yeah.
view, it's been nice. I mean, it's refreshing. It's nice to do something that I know kind of has this endpoint to it, but I'm getting a good experience, training and doing something new. I guess if we're going to talk about teacher training and like development, personal development, then it's been very different in that we had a 1 week induction period that kind of information was just flung at us. And especially for me, being new to this, it felt a little bit overwhelming at times. But you know, you see very quickly how you can apply those skills in the classroom, the things that they kind of taught you to do before. And I think, you know, having experience of teaching short courses myself, such as, you know, the CELTA, has helped me to, well, it's been interesting. It's been interesting because it's that I've had the opportunity to have the experience that maybe a lot of the people I'd trained up on short courses before have had, you know, that kind of momentary like panic at first. You're like, whoa, there's a lot of information. But then, you know,
Yeah.
seeing the immediate kind of way I can apply it in the classroom has been really nice.
Yeah, okay. I guess that plays into something that you and I have discussed a little bit in the past, like kind of expert teachers, that kind of expert status, which is difficult to like bandy around and label people with expert, novice, or somewhere in between. But I guess in your regular context as either an academic manager or a CELTA tutor, right? So you've kind of got your expert's hat on, you know, whether you like it or not, you sort of have there. Whereas I
Yeah.
guess stepping into something like this, you are kind of back to the drawing board as a novice in some ways, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's something I've talked about with the colleagues that I'm working with as well. I think, though, like I said at the beginning, a lot of the skills that I have developed have transferred over into this new format for me. But yeah, it is, you know, interesting to be back in that role where, you know, after kind of 5 or 6 years of feeling quite confident with what I'm doing, to kind of be trying to figure things out again and experimenting. And if this doesn't work, then, you know, you have that moment of like, oh God, what am I doing? Which I haven't had for a while. So definitely, it's been interesting in that regard.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's something that for me, like, definitely happened when I changed context into an SEN environment where I work right now. It was definitely like, oh, right, kind of back to ground
Yeah,
zero, if you like, and kind of having to not exactly learn everything again, because of course there are always things that apply sort of across contexts, but
yeah,
it's still just sort of taking that step back, isn't it? And like recognizing that, okay, I've got a lot to learn here, and how can I do that, as especially in your case, as quickly as possible, because it is a short-term thing.
yeah. So what did you do, just out of interest, to kind of adjust to that new role?
I think for me, it was mainly I had the time on my hands through a lot of peer observation, which was very fortunate. I expect that's not the case for you. So I think that was probably where I learned the most, like peer observation, and then like follow-up chats from that. Just sort of, yeah, bearing in mind that, you know, all the teachers that I was surrounded with had a great deal more experience than I did, sort of in some cases up over 10 years within this context, uh, and just, yeah, gleaning as much information as from them as possible. Some of which was
Yeah,
pretty contrary to what I had like thought before. So obviously, you know, you're taking it on board, and you're kind of like, you're not necessarily immediately accepting all of it, right? Like,
right. No, it's interesting,
would
and
you?
it's nice that you've had that time. Sorry to interrupt, but it's nice you've had that time to, you know, do the peer observation, talk with the people, uh, kind of, I guess, reflect a bit more on what you've been doing. Whereas, you know, on this course, like you said, it's very much like, here's your week of input, and then you're in, and you've got to kind of go with it. Uh, and there is support, and there is, you know, there's like senior teachers around who can kind of help and guide you. But I think, you know,
Mm,
the nature of a short course doesn't really allow for a lot of um, professional development in terms of kind of input. So what I've been doing a lot of is kind of reflection, you know, what worked well for me in the classroom, what didn't work. And then based on that, I've been kind of chatting with other colleagues who are a bit more experienced, and they've been able to give me some advice, which has been great. And again, you know, I guess one of the benefits of a short course, a benefit and a curse, is like, it is short and it is in at the deep end, but you also kind of you learn a lot in a short time, so you feel like you make progress very quickly.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to do that reflection bit and kind of think about, you know, what you're doing in the classroom, what works well, both on the course and then once this finishes, I think, you know, I need to sit down and really think about kind of what I learned and how it benefited from it.
Yeah. So I can imagine how, yeah, it feels as though you're learning more at a faster pace. Does that mean that, I guess I'm thinking for you and also for your coworkers, would you say that like it's more, perhaps more motivating than like a full-time job? Because you can kind of see the end of it. Does that make it more like, okay, great, I'm going to really, really push on and be awesome for 10 weeks? Or do you, without naming names, do you see teachers taking a bit of a backseat? And is it more of a, well, in 10 weeks, in 10 weeks, I'm going to be elsewhere?
Yeah. No, I think, you know, I'm fortunate in that the colleagues I work with are, you know, very professional. So I haven't seen any of that. I think people are kind of very, very motivated and they want to do a good job. And maybe the 10-week thing plays into it. I guess what has been really great about it is because we don't have, you know, months and months to kind of work it out and develop and try new things. Uh, there's a good community feel to it. So we all kind of help each other out a lot, you know, sharing
Mm.
resources, sharing expertise, sharing just, you know, the normal stuff you do in a staff room. You know, when your lesson goes badly, you know, they're kind of a shoulder to cry on, I guess. But when it goes
Yeah,
well, you know, they want to hear about it and they want to try out the ideas. So
yeah,
I wonder if, you know, having that intensive aspect of the course, this 10-week period, kind of it forces you together a bit more than you might feel in a kind of more traditional classroom. I think another interesting thing about the short course format is that, you know, all of us have come in from different locations around the world, different contexts, etc. And we're all kind of starting, even though a lot of them have experience doing EAP, we're all kind of starting on this program fresh, you know, from the beginning. So it's not the same as kind of coming into a staff room that has a lot of teachers that have been there for, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. Um, that's been a good way to kind of build rapport and build a community and support network, uh,
yeah.
being all in the same
And
context.
I guess as well, like whilst you're from the UK originally, and that's where you're currently working, like this is actually your first time teaching in the UK, right? So there's still, although it's your home country, there's still a little bit of a sort of something new there. And then your students, you said, are predominantly from China, which is a place where you've not taught or trained, right? So
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
the
So
same? And is that
that's
the
been
same
really
for?
interesting as well. Sorry.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay. So
Yeah, I think it's
okay.
sorry.
No, you go. There must be a little bit of a delay.
Uh,
You go.
okay, I was just gonna say, definitely like it's I guess one of the benefits of a short course again is that it does give you the opportunity to go somewhere for you know 10 weeks 4 weeks whatever however long the course is and experience something new and different. um, and yeah, it's gonna end at the end of August and I'll be back to Vietnam most likely. So that's definitely a benefit of a short course. I think, you know, that kind of dipping your toes in to something you haven't really done before.
Yeah. And I guess with a view to, taking these lessons, but also taking that this experience now being on your CV, is it something that you're looking to pursue more long term, like to perhaps follow it up with a university role, an EAP role, or something like that?
Yeah, well, I think I haven't decided yet, but I think it's opened the door to that kind of thing, that opportunity. Whereas, you know, before I didn't have any experience in EAP, it would have been very difficult for me to get a position at a university, for example.
Yeah.
Now, just with this 10-week period, and there's 10 weeks of experience, like I can apply for those jobs and feel more confident about being able to get them. So, this has
Yeah.
been, by the end of it, it's been a very valuable kind of 2.5 month period for me in terms
Sure.
of development and making sure I have more opportunities open to me in terms of teaching English.
Yeah, and I guess as well as standing a better chance of getting a like a wider array of roles, it's also being more confident that if you landed one of those jobs, you'd know how to feel in it. You know, like the idea for me, having never sort of taught in a university setting, to suddenly sign a 2-year contract somewhere to do that is a little bit disconcerting. But yeah, sort of
Yeah.
dipping your toes in for 10 weeks also gives you a little bit more comfort, I guess, that you're going to get along with it.
Yeah, definitely. And, it was very much in the induction, like these are the basics, these are the building blocks you need to put together successful EAP lessons. And, you know, with my prior experience, I was able to see where that fit in, I guess. But it's nice to have that foundation level. And I think that, short courses in particular are great for giving you that kind of foundation that you can then build upon. But I think it's important to remember that you need to build upon it. If I finish this 10-week period, then don't do any more EAP for a whole year, and then came back to Sheffield again, I think that wouldn't be best practice. I think I wouldn't really benefit as much as I could from what I've been doing here. So it's great that I'm getting this experience in such a short amount of time, but I do need to bear in mind that this is the foundation, and I need to build upon that.
Yeah.
Take more opportunities, perhaps, to keep doing EAP teaching, or even just read about it, talk about it, uh, watch some webinars or something like that, just to kind of
Yeah.
make sure that I don't
That's
let
why
that
we're
kind of
all here, right?
that base that I built fall apart. Yeah.
No, but it's true, isn't it? Like that is the purpose of this sort of thing. It's a chance to just chat about it in a pretty informal way and just to share those experiences. It's not sort of, oh, right, taking notes and study. It's just kind of reflecting on it in a much more informal way. Um, okay, so we're almost sort of time up. Before we go, I will actually be doing a short course myself early next year. I won't be teaching on it. I'll be one of the trainees. It's basically it's related to catering for diverse learner needs. It's sort of run by the Education Bureau here in Hong Kong. But yeah, so before I go, maybe you could give me sort of some tips. We don't have any like cheesy music to lead you into some 3 nice tips for me. But yeah, what advice would you give?
Okay. Well, I think it's the three I would probably go for. It would be one, just like I said earlier, make sure you reflect kind of during the course and after the course on what you've learned uh, on this kind of short course format, because it is so important to kind of establishing what you've learned and kind of having a better understanding of it and why you learned it, etc. So that's really important. Um, Remember as well that it's a learning experience for you. So I think a lot of these short courses, they're very intense, and you can feel a little bit under pressure, under the cosh, with the workload or with the new information and
Yeah,
trying to process it all. But it's definitely worth bearing in mind that you're you're there to learn. You're not being tested per se, and if you go in with that attitude, that being receptive and open to learning, then you're going to benefit a lot more from the short course. And I guess
yeah.
the last one would be kind of have fun with it. Like it's a new experience for you, and it does have that kind of that endpoint to it. Like how long is the course?
It's short, 17 days in there, I think. Yeah.
Right. So just see it like an opportunity for 17 days to do something new, try something out, get a few new ideas. Is really important. And also, I guess, sorry to break my 3-tip rule, but the fourth bit of advice I'd give you would be, make sure you work with the other people on the course and share ideas and kind of
Yeah.
how you feel about things, what's interesting that you've learned, what's more challenging, what you need a bit more support with. Uh, it's often difficult on a short format course like that for the trainer or the teacher educator to give you as much attention as you might get if you were on, say, a more of a year-long development path.
Sure, yeah.
So your colleagues become really important to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sound advice, I'm sure. All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Chris, and thank you to anyone else that joined us or is watching a little bit later. I'll be back with another TDLive in a couple of months. So yeah, you'll likely be seeing me around September. All right. So thanks a lot again, Chris, and goodbye, everybody. See ya.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.